All right.
Good morning, everyone. So Joe is going to start us off. Joe, do you mind just starting off in prayer and then heading into it?
Sure. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time that we're able to be together, even if it's just mostly online. Lord, we thank you for the technology that brings us together. We thank you for everybody on here. We pray that this knowledge is used to glorify you and that all of our words are spoken in truth and in your love. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, I'm going to turn it over to Joe. I'll pop in every few, probably every 20 minutes just to say hi, and we'll take a little break for questions, and I will see you all in 20. Love you guys.
All right, guys. So objection handling. This is by far one of the most crucial parts of what we do, is handle objections, because there's a lot of objections that come with buying and selling your largest asset. So we've got a couple people in person. So if I'm not looking directly at the camera, I'm looking at the people who are here. Don't worry, we're all socially distanced. And so let me go ahead and share my screen, because the best way to handle any objection is knowing how to handle a person. So we are going to learn more about people and what they do and how they act and what their personalities are and how to read them. Have either of you who are here heard of the DISC personality? Okay, have you heard of DISC personality? All right, so this is going to be fun. Anybody who is online, if you don't know what your DISC personality score is, we're going to do just a very simple test to kind of see where we're at, because you need to know what your personality type is in order to go through and figure out what other people's personality types are. So this slide of this is you can handle any objection if you can handle the person. So this next test is just very, very simple, basic, broken down version of the DISC personality test. And let's see, there you go. So you can go through online if after this class you guys are really interested in the DISC personality score, really kind of getting a better idea of where you lie. There's a lot of free tests out there. You can also pay for a test if you want to. But we're going to start with a very basic test. Don't think too much about these words, but what I want you guys to do is take a little note, and across here, so this first row, A, B, C, D, and look at the words that are in each one. Don't read too much into each word, but look at the overall gist of these words and see which one is most like you, which one is least like you, and rate them on a scale of 1 through 4. So if you're looking at this and A looks like, okay, that definitely is me, 1,000%, you're going to put a 4 right here. B, and that's kind of like me, but not really. That's maybe a 2. C, that's definitely more like me. 3, D, not like me at all. 1, whatever the case is. And we're going to go through and do that for E, F, G, and H as well. And it's important that you guys write these down in order, because we will then go through rows up and down and count them. So, and even if you just want to keep track in your head as far as which one is which. Oh no, it's going to be on the next slide. So this is just rows 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with and give you guys a couple minutes. Great. And if anybody has anything in the chat, I cannot see it. So go ahead and just unmute yourself. It's really casual. It feels really weird saying unmute yourself when I'm here in person with a couple people in class. You guys can unmute yourselves too. All right. So go ahead and we're going to go to the next one, just kind of understanding more of where your personality lies, which one. The whole slideshow is going to be recorded. So yeah, you guys will be able to go back and take this if you want to. Once you guys have all of your scores going across, then what I want you to do is add up the numbers and go vertical. So add up rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that would be A, H, K, N, and S. And what is that number here? What is the number here, here, and here? Does anybody, if anybody has done this before, or if anybody is doing this now, does anybody want to share what their DISC personality score is? You've got two main ones. Anybody want to share? I will share. My DISC personality is something that not a lot of agents have. I'm an SC. So that is my DISC personality. And if you have a lot of blue, you are an I. If you have a lot of green, you're an S. If you, let me see. If you have a lot of A, you are a D. And if you have a lot of this one, which is the gold, you're C. So let's keep going.
I'm sorry, man. What was blue? I'm so sorry.
Blue is S, I believe.
ISS.
All right. So Adam, what is your DISC personality?
Yes, ma'am. I have sorry, I'm a little slower. Obviously, I missed so I have 3 blues. So 1 green, 1 gold, and 3 blues.
Okay, so you're mainly an S personality, is what that sounds like. Have you taken the DISC personality score before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I definitely recommend it because this is just a very basic overview. I always recommend taking the actual test online. It'll give you a really cool breakdown of traits and everything like that. So understanding the DISC personality score. You really can overcome any objection if you can understand who it is you're talking to and learn how to communicate in a way that that person can understand. Because we can all talk all day long. We got into real estate because we can talk. But if we don't communicate in a way that a person can understand, that's all we're doing is talking. So it's crucial in what we do to be able to identify in ourselves which personality we are and be able to quickly identify our clients' personalities. Just to kind of give you guys an overview, a D personality is very direct, they're decisive, they're a doer. They are going to be the headstrong people who just go out there and do. The I's are going to be influential. They're inspirational, interactive, interesting, sometimes impulsive, and some people say irritating, but I think they're fun. So I's are the life of the party. They are going to be the ones celebrating with you. C's are compliant. These are very cautious and careful people. These are people who want numbers. They want everything laid out, very precise. And S are the steady, stable, supportive people. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into what each of these really and truly look like. God bless you. Understanding the DISC personality is that everybody has 2 main traits. Everybody's got a little bit of everything, but you've got 2 main ones. And when you look at the DISC right here, you can't be, it's impossible to be a DS because you can't be both dominant and submissive. Like that just, it doesn't go. So you have to be either a DI or a DC. And same goes with all of the others as well. So an IDIS, SI, or SC, CS, or CD. So that's what each of those will look like. Does anybody have any questions so far?
So you can't be a DS. Can you be a CI?
No, you cannot be a CI. Anything that is across from each other, you cannot be. So if they are, because you can't be both impulsive and controlled at the same time. I mean, you can, it just really counteracts each other. All right. So what does the D personality look like? A lot of Ds have a lot of strengths, but with a lot of strengths also come a lot of weaknesses. So they are direct, decisive, determined, outgoing, task-oriented, tough and thick-skinned, strong opinion, independent, goal-oriented, competitive, but they can also be very impatient. They can also be very insensitive. So if you see a D personality, they're not going to be the ones coming up and saying, hey, how are you? And really want to know how you're doing. You're going to be lucky if they say, how are you? They might just say hi because it's a social norm, not because it's really, because they really want to. They tend to interrupt because they don't process that other people have opinions or things to say. They can be aggressive. There's a plan, they stick to the plan, that's the goal, done. Bossy or intimidating, restless and controlling. They like to have control, and they oftentimes don't sleep very much at night because their brain is just always going. So what this looks like in a real life person is somebody who doesn't want to go out and see a lot of homes. They tell you their criteria. If you set them up on an auto search, they are going to be mad because you're going to inundate them with a whole lot of homes that may not match their criteria. If they want a specific neighborhood, they want that specific neighborhood. If they don't want anything other than a 4-bedroom and you send them a 3-bedroom with an office, no, that is not 4 bedrooms. I said it, this is what I want, this is what I want. They're not going to be going out to see a whole bunch of homes. They are rather only going to see a couple homes, and you guys are going to have a lot of emails back and forth. Another good example of this is, I know of a D personality who received an inheritance and wanted to buy a car with the inheritance. She had cash, so she went to a car dealership and she said, I want this car. I want it like this. I want this one. Show it to me. They showed it to her and she's like, here is, for round numbers, let's say, here's $50,000 cash. Sticker price is $55,000. If you can get it to me for $50,000 in 45 minutes or less, I'm good. If you go over
Hey,
to
Joe,
46 minutes,
Christine says she can't see it all. So I think what you need to do, just share the screen so they can see what's on your screen.
it says I am screen sharing.
Oh, you can? Okay.
You're
Christine,
in-
can you
you're
see it
in,
now? Can you type in the
she's
chat?
in-
Can you see it now?
Yeah, she's in presenter mode, so it's smaller. It's not the viewer mode, so.
Okay, I'll come in and put it on viewer mode. I can see it fine, but it might just be some people's computer. Go ahead, keep going, Jeff.
Okay. So this person went to the car dealership, said, I've got 50 grand cash, sticker price on there is 55, get me out of here in 45 minutes or less, and I'll walk away with it. If you go over to 46 minutes, it's not gonna happen, I'm gonna go to the next dealership. That is a very high D personality. They've got a goal, they've got a task, and they don't wanna mess around. Now with that, is that better? Okay. So that was, the car dealership ended up getting her out of there in 44 minutes. So they still got the deal. Which, if anybody has bought a car, it is a miracle. So that's a high D personality. They're a doer. They are going to get something done no matter what. So the best way to, tactics for a D personality. If you're like me and you like to talk a lot and you like to talk mushy gushy feelings, Don't do that with a D personality. They don't care. You always have to show respect. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You've got to be extremely respectful of their time, because their time is one of their most valuable assets to a D personality. Be direct. There is absolutely no fluff with these people. Like, don't fluff it up. They aren't going to appreciate it. They don't care about your kids. They don't care. They might, but when it comes to business, it's business. You've got to get results. So in order to be with a D personality, you've got to be very results oriented. Like that friend who went to the car dealership, you have to be results oriented. You also have to respond quickly. So this is something that I'm seeing more and more, is agents not responding, whether it's to me, whether it's to other agents, whether it's to whomever. Agents are not responding quickly. If you're working with a D personality and you are not instantaneously responding, you're losing business. I just went on a listing appointment last night that I got because I responded within 5 minutes on a Saturday afternoon. And the reason it took me 5 minutes to respond is because I was typing out the message, and that's how long it took to type out the message. So you also have to be able to give a big picture. They are big picture thinkers. Details are not important. What is the goal? How do we get there? Big picture. So these are going to be the people that they don't care about the details to sell their home. Just tell me what to do. I'll hire somebody to do all of that stuff and be done. Any questions about a D personality so far? Let's see. No questions? What about from in-house?
Say what?
No, those are great points though.
So it's all about sales tactics, and it's not about changing who you are. It's being a chameleon to best communicate with your clients. So that's some pointers for D personalities. The next one that we're going to go over is your I personality. What does that look like? You are influential and inspiring. Like I said, these guys are the life of the party. They're the ones who they're going to want to see a lot of homes. Guys, they just are, because every house is great and it's exciting. And oh my God, I love this. And oh my gosh, I love that. And oh, we could totally knock down that wall. And this is going to be fantastic. You laugh because it's true. They are also very persuasive. So I's can make really great salespeople because they'll talk and talk and talk and talk and persuade. They're very, very persuasive people. They walk in and everybody wants to be their friend. They're very social. They're very creative. They also make great artists because their mind thinks differently and they're very impulsive. So that makes some really great art. Very enthusiastic, very compassionate, kind of a whimsical, carefree personality. These are some of my favorite clients because we get to have fun. We go, and these are the people where after closing, we go out and we have a drink, we stay friends forever. They send me pictures of their grandkids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, again, with a lot of strengths come weaknesses. They can also be very inconsistent. So as much as you will love them, they will also drive you crazy because one day they want 3 bedrooms. Next day they want 4 bedrooms. Oh no, we could do a 2-bedroom. That would be totally fine as long as it's in the right area. Very inconsistent. They can also be unrealistic. We can totally have a oceanfront condo like overlooking the ocean for like $200K, right? That's no problem. In Virginia Beach, no problem. They can be a little manipulative, a little undisciplined, a little impulsive. So these people are going to also be the ones who say, hey, I know it's Sunday at like 2 o'clock, but can we see this house at like 2:30? Be fine, right? No. They don't have a lot of attention to detail. So you will have to be extra attentive to detail because they don't care. They're just going to click and sign whatever you send them or sign whatever paperwork you send them. So you've got to make sure that you do your due diligence and be extra attentive to detail. They can also be a poor listener. So they're not going to care what you say. As But the way that you overcome that is you talk to them in a way that they understand. Everything's a party, right? So, hey, I totally know that you want to go and see this house, but we can't do that right now. Be excited about everything. So tactics for an I personality, again, celebrate everything. Oh my gosh, we just saw your first house. We're on the road to home ownership. Yay! Oh my God, we ratified. Yay!
I love your Minnie Mouse impersonation. Oh, Mickey.
Especially for somebody who doesn't like Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
Oh,
Jordan, you just sounded like me every time I celebrate my clients. Hi, I over here. Hey.
You are also going to talk about everything with these clients. They are going to tell you about their granddaddy's first cousin, second removed. And you're going to know about the family history. You're going to know about everybody, about everything. But that is how they communicate. That is how you're going to know that they trust you, because they're going to tell you everything. And you got to listen. I don't care what your personality type is. You got to listen. The glass is also always half full. If you start saying, well, you know, you really should get pre-approved, because what if you're looking at homes that you can't afford? No. If you're talking to an I personality, like that makes sense for some other personality types. If you're talking to an I personality, like, no, we totally got to get you pre-approved beforehand, because you got to know your buying power. So it's glass half full instead of half empty. Instead of looking at homes that are too expensive for you, you got to know your buying power, man. Glass half full. You have to go fast and be spontaneous. So just like a D personality, they like a fast response. They also like to be spontaneous. They are going to randomly ask you to parties. They're going to randomly ask you out for dinner, whatever the case is. So that is a little bit about I personality. Who's got questions on I personalities? And who in here is an I personality? A DI?
Yeah, because I don't like the overall teaching.
That is a very common personality type. A DI personality type is very, very common for salespeople. It's actually one of the most common, and it is one of the personality types that is proven to be one of the most successful agents. So if you are a DI.
I'm so glad to hear that. Brand new. I like you already.
All right, so let's take a look at an S personality. See, she's an I personality. She's trying to compliment me and like, oh yeah, this is great. This is great. All right, so what does an S personality look like? Some strengths are being steady, stable, sincere, deliberate, good listeners, very modest, very patient, very predictable, very calming, very dependable. Dependable is a big key in an S personality. So an S personality is the person who is going to stop in the middle of Military Highway or Virginia Beach Boulevard and let little goslings cross the road, because they've got a heart that feels everything. They are, if they say something to you, it is the truth. They're not liars, they're not fluffers. Like, it's just, they're very sincere in everything that they do and say. They're also very deliberate. They don't take a lot of leeway. They don't do something that is unnecessary. They're very efficient and effective in what they do. Now, weaknesses is they can tend to be inactive. They worry a lot. As an S personality myself, I can attest to that. I worry about everything all the time. There are several nights that I've lost sleep over a deal or a friend or a family member, because coming with an S personality, it's also, I'm more of an empath. So I feel people and I feel their pain, and that keeps me up at night. We can also be very indecisive. So Thomasina can attest to this. As an S personality, she asked me, where do you want to go to eat? Thomasina, you're asking an S. I don't know. I don't care. Just pick.
Yep. And she prefaces it usually whenever we have our meetings, because she schedules meetings with me regularly. She has for 7 years. And she will preface it with, now remember, I'm an S, so don't ask me what we're eating. You decide and I'll be there. We talk about disc continuously with the top agents. And this is actually a good interjection, Joe. So for anyone that's in the chat session or in the classroom or whatever you prefer, you can either write it or you can just unmute yourself and speak. But what objections have you had that you would need help with right now? Because I would love to try to overcome those for you so that you have the answers to how to overcome the objections that you have the most difficulty with. So you can either unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. I have the chat up if you wanted to do that, and I'll just pause here for a minute. So either unmute or you can type it in the chat. And if you don't have one, that's okay. If you think of one later, you can always email or text Jordan, and she will answer those for you guys. But if you have one, I'm happy to answer it for you.
What objections do you guys get?
Anything? Anyone in class in there, Joe? Just because you can see them? Have a question?
Well, they were having trouble hearing you. So what objections do you guys commonly get or have that Thomasina and I can help overcome if you've had any objections that have come up recently or commonly?
I just gotta learn as much as I can to start doing it.
Yeah, I have a question about objection. I think I'm a client, like you were saying, and I tend to be like real clean, like trying to get all the documents and everything, and not as much critical thinking, more kind of like how can we make everything perfect, and not a perfectionist thing, but so my question is this: some people are kind of turned off by that. So, but so if they're like, you seem kind of meticulous, Adam. How many deals have you done? Obviously, you don't want to say I'm new, but how would you overcome that if they're like, how many deals have you actually done?
So just so everybody on Zoom can hear, the objection is coming from a new agent, is overcoming the objection of, well, how many deals have you done? And how new are you? One of the best ways to overcome this is if you are in the mentor program, you say something to the effect of, hey, look, I get that question all the time. And me and my partner, because if you have a mentor, you have a partner, have completed X stats, which you should know your mentor's stats.
Correct.
So,
yes, if you do feel that you're going to get that, and because everyone new has to be in the mentor program, right? But if you are a tenured agent who hasn't done very many deals, and you do feel by just speaking to these people on the phone or conversation that you would get that, make sure you always have a partner in mind that you can partner up with, because these people really want somebody who has done a lot of deals. So make sure that you partner up with somebody who has done deals. There are mentors and top agents who will partner with you so that you can utilize the years, and you can say me and my partner, and you utilize the years for that. So for those of you who don't have very many deals, go ahead right now and think of somebody who you would like to partner with and speak to them. That way you can utilize them in the future, and you don't have to worry about trying to come up with a good answer on the fly.
great tactic. Now, as a little pop quiz, based on what we know so far about D, I, and S personalities, which one of those is most likely to ask the question, well, how many deals have you done?
A D.
You can type it in the chat, guys, if you are virtual. I heard the class answer D.
A D would ask for sure.
Mike said
A D.
D.
Definitely a D.
Very good. Very good. Now I will ask.
Hey, I got a quick question though. I couldn't get off mute fast enough before you moved on, but I have a quick question. When you're talking about the partner's great, like, Kara, I partner with Kara, and she sold 30 homes last year or whatever the number was, probably 500 because she's so awesome. But what about talking about the total number of homes the company, the office itself sold as well?
Yeah, you definitely can do that.
We've got a great team of we're a team. We got a bunch of partners, and the office collectively also helped buy and sell X number of homes last year.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, I wouldn't even do the office. I would say Keller Williams in the area.
Yeah.
You're going to take it big.
Okay.
Because we have the market share for the area. collaboratively, we have the market share. No one sold more homes in the area collaboratively than Keller Williams.
Right, because it's
Okay.
more like there's X number of agents in my office alone working to market and sell your property. Just because you're listed with, with listing through me, you're actually hiring Keller Williams, Virginia Beach, Hilltop, and we sold
Yeah.
X number of
I would
homes
do
last year.
Keller Williams, period, because all of our stats go in with Keller Williams, so you can actually look that up, unless you're in competition with another Keller Williams person, right?
Right.
Then
Cool.
go, obviously, but I would use, because we're number one in the state of Virginia. Obviously, Keller Williams is number one in the US, but we're number one in the state of Virginia and in the area for market share. So you can totally use that number anytime you want.
Perfect.
Yep, and you can look it up on Range. So in case you guys want to know exact numbers, you can look it up on Range. Quick quiz real quick while we are waiting. So I want you to tell me what two personality types are the highest for me. For me, what do you think my personality types are? The first and second personality types.
You guys in
Am
class?
I an SI? Am I an IS? Am I a CS? What am I?
I'll plead the fifth.
What personality?
No,
type
you
is
can't plead the fifth. You need to put it in the chat. Everyone needs the answer. Put it in the chat session, even the ones that are in the room. Joe, you can type in the chat session for them. Put it in the chat session. You cannot plead the fifth. This is real estate, sir. Definitely cannot plead the fifth in this one. Go ahead and type everything in and I will tell you what I am, because usually it's a pretty good surprise. So go ahead and type it in.
So, Adam, what was your guess?
I was gonna guess DC.
DC? And what was your guess? DI.
Anyone else? Come on, I know there's more on here. Type it in.
Don't be shy, guys.
Christy said DI. Adam said DI. Regina said, no, I'm sorry, Adam said DC. Regina said DI. Star said DI. Mike said DI.
Lily said DI.
Okay, Lily said DI. Hey, Lily. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Anyone else?
DI.
Oh, Mary Frances said DI. Anyone else? All right. Joe, go ahead and tell them what I am. You will be very surprised. Only one person got this right.
Thomasine is a DC.
I am. Yep. And they are 1 point away from each other. So sometimes I'm a CD. So my I is actually very low. Little known fact, I am not the life of the party like I portray to be. A high I is always the life of the party, always fun, always having a great time, right? I actually portray it very well. I would rather be in the corner not speaking to anybody at the party, and I would rather not even go to a party. Believe that. So the reason I always tell this story is you can be a different personality in front of somebody else who needs you to be, right? I mean, how horrible would it be if I was just literally in the corner at every event we had, not talking, not being up, right? I would be a horrible TL. It would be awful. So I come out of my comfort zone and I make sure that I am able to do that for you all and for anyone else that I talk to in my interviews. I've learned over the years how to make sure that I bring that out, even though it's very, very low for me. And it is a little bit exhausting. I'll be honest with you. It's quite exhausting because you have to try and make it doesn't come natural. But the reason I tell you this is because you have to be all four personalities at any given time, because you have to relate to the person who is a D or an I or an S or a C. And Carrie, you're hilarious. So I have to, adjust, and so don't you. We all have to adjust. We have to slow down for the S's. We have to make sure that they have everybody that they need there in order to make their decision, right? Because an S can't make a decision on their own. We have to make sure we have all the analytical facts and numbers for the C's, even if we're not. We have to be able to address the direct people who are very stern and do not want the long story for the D's. We have to be peppy and spunky for the I's. And an I and an S will actually, they will actually be very similar in certain things. So an I and an S will definitely cry over emotional things, because an I really needs to feel like everybody loves them and everybody wants them and everybody needs them, a very high I. And they will get upset if that doesn't happen. And an S is just very shy and calm and really just gets upset when they have to make a lot of decisions or there's a lot going on. So sometimes you won't know which one it is, an I or an S. But yes, I am a DC, and again, 1 point away from each other. So sometimes it's a CD. But you will usually figure this out because I will spew out some numbers at any given time. Relatively pretty quick when it comes to a lot of real estate. I usually am pretty good at knowing my numbers because I am pretty passionate about it. But with that being said, if you have any other questions throughout as we continue on with the rest of the training, please put your objections in here because I want to try and handle every objection that you guys have. Me and Joe are going to tackle this together today. And this is what it's for, to learn the DISC score and how to handle any objections that you have, which you guys should be having a lot of objections on calls, right? It takes 100 calls for one closing. We all know that. So let us know what those objections are and just type them in here. I'll keep an eye on the chat. And Joe, I'll probably stop you about 10 minutes and just take a look at the chat and see if we can answer any more, but keep on keeping on, girl.
All right, sounds good. So finishing up with the S personality, we've kind of gone over that a lot. So how do you relate to an S personality? How do you speak their language in a way that they understand? You are always there for them. You're going to hold their hand through this entire transaction. Another important thing to find out with an S personality, if you find out that your client has an S personality, make sure that you are asking them, who else is making this decision? Who is your confidant? Who is your go-to? Who is helping you with this decision? If you have an S personality type as a client, they're going to have a person. They're going to know exactly who it is, and they're going to love that you know that they have a person. Sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a sister's brother's best friend. Who knows who it is? But you need to know who that person is and be able to bring them along and bring them in to the transaction as well. Because whether their name is on the contract or not, they're going to be a deciding factor. So they need to be involved if you've got an S personality client. For me personally, when we bought a house, it was my husband. So our agent did a very good job because I bought my house before I was an agent. We were in a group text. And so I knew what was going on because that comes in with my C personality, but I didn't have to respond to anything because my husband was the decision maker. So you got to know who else is helping make the decision. Avoid sudden change, whether it's in terms or in attitude. Being in real estate, things are going to change, and sometimes they can change very quickly. But we have to be steady for our S clients. We're there holding their hand through this thing. Suddenly a term in the contract that was previously agreed to changes. Hey, look, I know we talked about this before, but here's all the details on how it led to this change. And here's what that change really means. Here's the good, here's the bad, but this is what it lays out to be. You've got to, very, very calm, very reassuring. You're offering support to them. So hopefully they don't have to rely on their other person so much, but you're there, you're the support, you're holding their hand. And it's very, very easy for that to come across as demeaning. So you do have to also, especially if you're a high D or I personality, it can come across as demeaning when you're talking to an S. So you just have to be very careful and watch what you guys are saying and how you're saying it. Because even though, yes, us S's feel more and are more empaths, if you would, we're also human beings and smart. And if you treat us like a child, we're going to know. So let's look at the C personality. Strengths. They're conscientious, they're controlled, they can be very complex, they can be very cautious. These guys are very, very cautious. They're precise, logical, courteous, analytical, accurate, and systematic. These are the people who want a system. They want a checklist. They want everything written out. They want numbers. This is where when you get the seller's estimated net proceeds, man, you have better be on the dollar. And if you are off, they are going to tell you about it. They are also the ones who are going to want to go through the entire contract. So y'all better know your contracts because they are going to ask you about line 458, it has this verbiage. What does that mean? I don't know. What's on 458? Know your contracts. Know what they mean, because if you get a C personality, that person is going to be reading every single detail. So just like it's important with an I personality to be extra due diligent in, making sure everything is good, because they're not going to. With a C personality, you got to be extra diligent because they are going to then critique the mess out of you. If something's off, well, what's this mean? Why is this like this? No, that number shouldn't be there. That's not right. That's not the right down payment. What are you thinking about? I'm doing 10%, not 11%, whatever it is. Weaknesses with a C personality is they are very self-critical. So do not critique a C personality. That is their biggest fear, and that is a way to get on their bad list. If you start critiquing them, if they have an idea, then okay, let's explore that more. Instead of, no, that's dumb. If you critique a C personality, you are in for it, because they are their own worst critic. If you tell them something, they've probably already thought about it 10 times over. They're very critical. They tend to procrastinate, which is not exactly what you would expect, but it's definitely true. I know for me, being an SC, I procrastinate because that's how I'm going to be learning things best. I made this slideshow a couple days ago. I've already forgotten half of what's on it. If I made it last night, I would be very refreshed, even though it would have stressed me out because procrastination. So we're all in worst enemies. They're very suspicious, very fearful, very defensive, and they are overly detailed. So that's what we talked about with being very critical of the contract and why it's so important for us as agents to know our contract. How to handle a C personality. You got to provide numbers and analytics. We already talked about this with providing the estimated seller's net proceeds. Don't be pushy or critical. If you are a pushy salesperson with a C personality, they are going to build up a wall so high you are never going to overcome it. If you try to push them into every single house that they go and see, it's never going to work. You're never going to get them under contract, because even if the numbers make sense, you being pushy to them is going to put up a wall. You also have to be very, very accurate. We talked about that, and provide as much detail as possible. A C personality, especially with an S underscore, is going to want to know, well, why are these sellers selling the house? Why this? Why that? Why all of these things? They're going to want to know the why, and you better know it. So you got to ask the questions, and you have to know which questions to ask for which clients, because every listing agent you talk to is going to give you different details. But when you know your clients, you know which questions to ask. Questions for me on a C personality. Yes, Adam.
Ma'am, would you agree that the C's tend to be more objective in the sense that, like, it feels like, myself included, you're taking an SAT test when you're talking to a C, it's like all about intelligence and analytics. It's not about like social, emotional intelligence. Like that would be like the I, for like that's how they have like social skills and everything. But the C is like you're taking it. Are you taking like an SAT test or something? Myself included. Like, do you think they're more objective than subjective? Like the I's would be more subjective, or?
So the question is, are C's more subjective than and less subjective? And the answer is yes. So C's are definitely more, they're more apt. They are less socially aware than others. When you get a CS, they're going to be more socially aware because an S is very socially aware. If you get a CD, that person naturally is not very socially aware. Now they can be with somebody like Thomasina, but she works her tail off to be very socially aware of her surroundings and what she's doing. But like she said, it doesn't come naturally to her. So yes, there's definitely a social intelligence that does not go with a C or D, but rather with an I and S. So here's some ways to approach the different disc styles. We've already talked about them in detail, but just kind of a general overview. For a D, here's the goal, what's your solution, and I need this ready by. So if you have a D personality who is going to list their home, you say, here's the goal, we're going to sell your house for this much. What's the solution? I'm going to market the mess out of it and get it sold, and I need you to have the house ready by this date. Done? Cool. An I personality is, let's talk about listing your home. I'm so excited that you decided to paint and to get the house ready. And here's a great way to get the house, ready to be on the market. Let's talk about doing this. And I know you love yellow. I love yellow. But let's paint that yellow wall white. Okay. Okay. With an S personality. So how do you feel that we should go about marketing your home? I feel that we need to, really concentrate on the internet marketing, from my expertise. But let's discuss that further. Let's discuss what you feel. And here's some more information about why I feel that this is really, where we need to be. And then a C personality is, hey, you know what? You said you want to list your home. Go ahead, take some time. I've given you all the numbers. Think about it and let me know. C's have got to be in charge. And why don't I send it to you in an email as well? So that way you've got it, both what we talked about, and then you've got it in writing as well. And then, here's some other alternatives as well. Here's options for you to think about. So those are different ways to approach the different personalities. And then just kind of for funny, the disc style in voicemail greetings. A D personality is, you know what to do. Simple, short, sweet, right to the point. And I is, wow, you missed me. I'm having a great day and I hope you are too. Cheers. An S, I'm so sorry I missed your call. Please leave me a message. As I do check my messages often, I will return your call as soon as possible. If you need assistance now, please hit 0 and my assistant will gladly help you again. I'm so sorry I missed your call. Yeah, that sounds eerily similar to my voicemail. And you reach my voicemail at the tone, please speak slowly, clearly, please leave your number, the time you called and the reason for your call. Also leave a good time for me to call in return. Thank you. Also sounds eerily similar to mine. So that is the end of the slideshow. What questions or objections do people have? Let me see, I can check the chat. All right, does anybody have any objections that they want to overcome? Any questions about DISC personality and how to quickly read what somebody's personality score is?
I'm sorry, that's one question.
That's okay.
What if you're talking to a spouse and the other spouse, and one is one and one is the other? Like, how do you cater to which one, or how do you make that decision?
So that's a great question. So just for everybody who's online, the question is if you have spouses who have different personality types, who do you cater to more and how does that work? And that is a great question because most of the time spouses are very different. We've talked about that I'm an SC. My husband is a DC. So what your goal is to find where they are common. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you got an SI married to a DC and they are all over the place. So therefore you are all over the place. So what does that look like? You have to, whoever's the C, be more geared towards the person who's not the C, or not the C, or not the S, sorry. Because the S is not the decision maker. They will likely influence the decision maker in how they act because they've got to be in unison and agree upon. But you gear your personality, like how you're interacting, more towards the person who's not the S. Because most likely what they can agree upon is you can be excited, but you can also give them numbers. And you can also tell them, hey, I need this ready by this date because we've got X numbers. And once we do that, then we can totally party and be excited. So you've got to really incorporate a little bit of everything because at the end of the day, everybody is a little bit of everything. So you really do have to just be a chameleon, and whoever is showing the most dominant traits, kind of geared towards that. It's usually not the S, so you'll know who to go through there.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll really appreciate that.
All right, chat is pretty quiet, guys. If you don't start giving me some questions or objections, we're gonna have to end early. Don't make me do that. Any questions from in here? Any other questions? Any objections that you guys have come up with recently? Any objections that sellers or buyers have given you on the phone?
Yeah, I was watching the chat session. I don't see anything yet, so.
I don't either.
So
Yeah, one more question. Sorry, so many questions. So if I'm calling an $8 million for sale by owner, and they say I'm not interested, what would you just say? Because that's when you don't want this. You know?
So the question is calling an $8 million for sale by owner, and they just say, I'm not interested. So you start asking questions. The longer you can keep them on the phone, then the more chance you have to turn the objection into an appointment. So the more questions you can ask, the more you can get out there and just say, oh, really? I'm so sorry to hear that. Why is that? What happened? You know, what makes you not want to be interested? I just want to offer you a free open house. Right. So start asking questions. The longer you can keep them on the phone, then you can get to know their personality more and turn it around, because you can start catering to their personality type. So some other common objections, just that way we can go through, are, I talked with my mentees about this earlier this week, is a common objection is, I don't want to get pre-approved yet. I want to find a house first before I get pre-approved. It's a very common objection. Does anybody know reasons why we should not do that?
Look at the pace of the market right now. The strength of your offer, pre-qual versus a qualification letter, you know?
Yep.
So that's the number one reason you should get them approved versus qualified. So.
Well, a lot of times they don't even want to get pre-qualified. Like they don't want to talk to a lender until they find a house. I'll find a house and then I'll talk to a lender. So that's a very common objection. So how would we handle that one?
Sure, that you certainly can do that. And excuse me, sorry. Yeah, Mr. Seller or Mr. Buyer, whatever, you certainly can do that. But in today's market, the strength of your offer, you find a house you like, the way that the houses are getting into multiple bid, multiple offer situations, you have to put your best foot forward. And having yourself qualified versus a pre-qualification, plus it also allows you to know what your buying power is and what you can qualify and get for. So it can take anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. And while we're doing that, we can start building up a list of homes for you to potentially go and see and set up a showing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Let me connect you with my broker. Here you go. You know,
that's a great way to overcome it. And then something that we talked about on Tuesday is with my mentees is right now more than ever, sellers only want people who have talked to a lender coming through their home. With the coronavirus going around and people, you know, not knowing who's coming in and out of their home, even if it's a vacant home, sellers want to make sure that only people who have talked to a lender and are serious are coming through their home. So you can always blame it on the sellers too, especially right now, that, hey, look, the sellers are requesting that only people who have talked to a lender are coming into the homes. So by you not talking to a lender, I'm not gonna lie, like I can't lie, that's an ethics violation. So by you not talking to a lender, you are limiting the homes that we can see, because we can't go see homes until you talk to a lender. Also, you know, you can, even when if there wasn't a pandemic, you could always limit on the sellers. Hey, look, sellers have done a ton of work to the home to get it ready to list more times than not. They have to gather kids, they have to gather pets, they have to get out of the house. They're working hard to get the house ready to show you. They want to know that you've put in the effort to be able to come and see the home. And that means talking to a lender, getting pre-approved, getting pre-qualified, going through underwriting, whatever the case is. But Mike brought up a great point about the market being so hot right now that if we don't have a letter from your lender in hand, when we write the offer, your offer is automatically at the bottom. It is not a strong offer. And we have to be able to put your lender on the offer anyway. So really, we can't submit an offer. And if we can't submit an offer until you have a letter from your lender, they could already be under contract. Like, yeah, it could only take, an hour or two to get that letter, but that hour or two could be the difference between you getting the house and not getting the house. It's just the way the market's going. It's kind of a fish tank, piranha tank.
Well, and like it was discussed yesterday with Robbie, don't go on home tours with people that can't buy it, right? Last thing you want to do is have somebody fall in love with a $6,000 house and they can only buy a $450,000 house. It's the hardest thing in the world is to overcome that, Well,
it's also a safety thing. So, kind of going off topic here on how to, handle the objection, but just for y'all's knowledge, it's a safety thing too. Don't take somebody on a home tour because that home is not going to have anybody in there. You're meeting a stranger who hasn't talked to a lender, who hasn't verified their identity. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in that situation. Realtors are missing and killed and murdered like every year. So don't put yourself in that situation. Just don't do it, please. We like all of you. We'd like you to stick around.
Robbie, hi, this is Miriam. Hi,
hey.
Jordan.
Hey.
Hi. Robbie also said, and he mentioned that it's best to deal with the client who has a conditional loan as well. That's better than just a pre-qual. Is that correct? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of the objection that I was trying to handle. It's just getting a client, a buyer to talk to a lender. Of course, if they can go through an underwriting and get a full, hey, look, yeah, we're good, we're ready, like all conditions have been met, we're ready to go. That's the best case scenario. But if they can't, it's just talking to a lender, because a lot of buyers, not so much this past year, but in years prior, one of the biggest objections was, I just don't want to even talk to a lender. I don't want them to pull my credit before I found a house. Well, that person probably doesn't have good credit and should probably not be buying a house anyway. That's another story. And so that's the objection that I was trying to get at.
Well, I mean, so little known fact about the FICO scoring system is it's a system that's designed to not affect your credit for one or two inquiries raised based on the same thing, right? So if a mortgage office performs a search, or a bank performs a search to qualify you for a mortgage, it doesn't adversely affect your credit score. It's when you go from Town Bank to BB&T to Atlantic Bay to whoever, and you go to 16 different, mortgage and lenders, and they continually pull your credit score. That's where the adverse effect comes in. So it's about educating your clients as to, how that system is designed to score too. One or two inquiries to get you qualified for a loan will not adversely affect your score to the point that it's going to create issues for you credit-wise.
Exactly. So a big part of objection handling is educating, which is why these classes are so important for you guys. So today we talked about how to talk to people. In other objection handling classes, we're going to talk about what to say to people. And that's where the education comes in. That's where knowing your contract comes in. That's where having your mentor comes in. Because like Mike said, it's about educating your client. And that is the biggest part of our job. We educate them on the good and the bad and let them make a decision. Because at the end of the day, it is their house, it is their money, it is their mortgage, it is their monthly payment. It is their everything. We are here to tell them the good and the bad. And the only way to know the good and bad is by continuing to do these education classes.
We also learned yesterday through Robbie that he is able to just do a soft pull where he's, by just going to, I guess, 2 different agencies, pulling 2 agency credit scores where it's a soft pull and it won't affect your credit score at all. So he did say that he does have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, they can absolutely do a soft pull, and banks expect you to shop around for mortgage rates. So if you do that, do a couple soft pulls in a month, it's going to just count as one hit. So that's another big education. But this is where you talk to your lender, right? And you get it from the lender's perspective and what they can do when you get a lender that you have a good relationship with. Robbie is a great lender to have a great relationship with. That man did loans for me this year that I'm like, I don't know how you did that, but I appreciate you. So we are at 11:01, guys. Any last minute questions?
I'm good. Thank you, Jordan.
All right.
Thanks, Jordan.
Well, go ahead, take the full DISC personality test, figure out who you are and what your two main ones are, and find somebody else in the office who's got the opposite of you. That way you guys can learn from each other and really get a good overall view of all of the personalities. We'll see you guys later.